Hello everybody. This video concerns the first day of my 2024 birding big year. It's a little more than a week late, but there's a good reason for that. And this year, my big year is just a personal challenge to see more bird species than what is on my life list of 349 birds. I know that 349 birds is not a huge life list, especially for someone my age, but there's pretty good reasons for that as well. My first day kind of started with a whimper, like they often do, but kind of ended with a bang, so that was nice.
I went outside January 1st well before sunrise to listen for owls, but had no luck. So, as per normal, I kept an eye on my feeders for the usual suspects as the sun was about to rise. And they showed up. Northern cardinals, American goldfinches, dark-eyed juncos. Even a Harris's sparrow made an appearance, which was a nice surprise, as I don't usually get them on the first day. Then I went outside for a bit, but I wasn't properly dressed for 25-degree weather, so I only stayed out for maybe 10 minutes. I saw several more birds, including a red-bellied woodpecker, which was in a large post oak tree near my home, hammering away on either an acorn or a pecan. This is a male, by the way. Oddly enough, on males, the red on the head extends forward, pretty much all the way to the bill, while females appear to have a receding hairline. Red-bellied woodpeckers inhabit wooded areas of the eastern United States, from the east coast to as far west as the Texas Panhandle, northeast Colorado, and central South Dakota. I also heard, then saw, a downy woodpecker. Over the years, I learned to distinguish the sounds of the downy woodpecker from the very similar hairy woodpecker. One of the most common sounds a downy makes when alarmed is a very sharp peak note, as heard here. I'm pretty sure this bird was making this call because I was nearby, so it was most likely on guard. Now, the most common call of the hairy woodpecker is a short, sharp peak note, which is similar to the downy, but slightly lower pitched and often sounding more emphatic. Now that's according to ornithologists, but this is how I would describe it. When a hairy woodpecker makes a peak call, it sounds like a downy woodpecker made the call, but sneezed at the same time. Here, listen. Again, here's the downy, and here's the hairy. Sounds like a downy woodpecker sneezed while making the call, doesn't it? Anyway, before leaving home, I saw several Canada geese flying overhead. I knew they were there because I heard one of them first. While I was taking out the trash on the silent, windless morning, the small flock flew over, just above the treetops, unbeknownst to me, when one of them made this sound. And pretty much scared the life out of me, and I thought I was under attack. Next, I traveled to Tishomingo National Wildlife Refuge to search for the Say's phoebe that had been hanging around, the one that I saw in December, but I did not locate it on day one. And I have to mention, I had a little one with me, so I was pretty much limited to birding from my vehicle. The phoebe was there, I just didn't see it. But I'm sure I will on a return trip, which will be soon, hopefully. However, all was not lost, and something very interesting occurred while I was there. Well, interesting to me anyway. I happened upon a tree that was loaded with western meadowlarks. As odd as that is to see them in trees, what may have been even more strange was the fact that they were making quite a racket. While eastern meadowlarks are abundant in the area year-round, western meadowlarks are only there in winter. Additionally, they are less vocal in the winter, so it was a pleasant surprise to hear them singing. Some say it is the best way to distinguish between the eastern and the western, but there are other ways. Here are the westerns singing that day, along with some other birds in the background. For the most part, eastern meadowlarks have a well-defined white mustache, as seen here. While on western meadowlarks, the yellow coloring on the throat encroaches on the mustache, as seen here. I wanted the little person with me to see a large flock of snow geese, but none were on the refuge that day. Perhaps they had all journeyed to Hagerman Refuge on the southern shore of Lake Texoma, I thought. And as it turned out, that refuge was our next destination. Actually, our next destination was just east of Hagerman, the place where the tropical kingbird had been hanging out. I had added the bird for last year's list, but I wanted to get it for this year, just in case I don't travel to its normal range, the lower Rio Grande Valley of Texas. We arrived, and I found it fairly quickly after adding the savanna sparrow, which is quite abundant around these parts. I mentioned in my last video for the 2023 big year that I was curious to see if colder weather would send these rare strays packing for warmer climes. But apparently it didn't, as they are still here. I later entered the refuge and added quite a few more birds, mostly ducks, gulls, and shorebirds. Here are some green-winged teals and American widgeons. And we saw this great blue heron. I think a lot of people take these common birds for granted, but they are very impressive. Just watch how this bird hunts. Notice here how it moves its entire body, but the head remains perfectly still. Very impressive indeed. Perhaps the highlight of the day was seeing about 8,000 snow and Ross's geese. Sometimes geese are geese, but when there are this many, it's a little overwhelming. And the spectacular scenario is even more intense when these massive flocks take flight. Also, I heard but didn't count several species on day one. I guess if I was in some sort of day one competition, I would have counted them. However, since these were birds I will probably see 100 times this year, cedar waxwing, white-breasted nuthatch, Carolina wren, etc., I decided to wait until I actually see them.
So I ended the day with 56 bird species, which is 8 more than last year's. But honestly, I should have gotten more. But under the circumstances, I think I did pretty good. And I feel good about this year. I really feel I'm going to beat 349 birds and get at least 350. I'll certainly have to do some traveling, which I wanted to do in 2023. I just didn't get the chance to travel very much. Already more than a week into this year, and I've only had the one day to go birding, which was January 1st. I've been so busy. But I'm going to have some free time coming up, so hopefully I'll get a couple of days to actually get out there and find some of those hard to find winter birds. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already.
If I dunk this basketball, you subscribe.